My name is Gauri Mishra, and I am an associate professor at the Department of English, College of Vocational Studies, University of Delhi. I'm here to take the conference in a completely different direction. So I'd like to share my screen now.
Please, doctor, please.
Can you see? Can you see my presentation?
Yes, yes, doctor. It's visible. Doctor, your presentation is visible. You can proceed.
Yeah. Today I'm here to present an overview of my paper, Literature and Cinema through the perspective, Literature and History through the perspective of cinema. As you can see in the slide, what my slide is showing here is a map of undivided India. I'm here to talk about partition, which was the single most horrific event in the history of India. It divided the country into two new nations of India and Pakistan in 1947. The period of partition resulted in rampant killings and riots among the Hindu-Muslim communities and proved to be the worst time for women who were raped and killed in the name of their families and religion. So I'm presenting a few perspectives on partition. There is an interesting relationship between literature and history. All the modern history that we read in school and college textbooks becomes real and tangible when we read about it in literature. The books selected and examined are based on actual history, and the films are their adaptations. In this sense, the essence of history is being seen through the lens of literature, as well as an additional perspective of how a film based on a literary work can present history in a complex and worthwhile way. You can see the slide in this, and you can see how the trains were going from India to Pakistan and from Pakistan to India, and people were frantically wanting to move because Hindus were told to go to India and Pakistani Muslims were told to, Muslims who were based in India were told to go to Pakistan. And people, there was no infrastructure regarding this, and people had to just travel any which way. Partition was the single most traumatic event in Indian history. There was a lot of enmity among the communities which flared up due to this hasty and illogical decision by the government. This led to riots, which started in early 1947 and continued in different parts of the subcontinent for more than 2 years. The women were the worst victims of partition, as their bodies were the markers of vengeance for the rival Hindu and Muslim communities. In times of war and civil strife, women's bodies become the markers of their men's honor. Thus, the rape of a woman is emblematic of the rape of the community she belongs to. This is the cover of the first novel that I'm analyzing. It is written by a Parsi writer based in Pakistan. It's called Ice Candy Man. There was a very famous film which was based on this novel, and that also I will analyze after the book. Bapsi Sidhwa's novel Ice Candy Man is an interesting novel seen through the perspective of Lenny, a Parsi girl. The novel is based in pre-partition Lahore and talks about the dynamics of a society about to fall apart. Being a Parsi, a community which was neutral in their opinion about the partition, Sidhwa is not taking sides, but it is quite apparent that her inclination is towards Muslims and she is in favor of Jinnah and not Gandhi. Aya is the central figure in the novel. She's a young and attractive Hindu and hence a pivot around whom the motley group of men revolve constantly. These men belong to different communities, different faiths, different professions. In this sense, Aya represents the undivided India who is ravaged by men. In the slide, you can see from the film, I have taken this picture. And this is the actress Nandita Das playing the character of Aya, and the actor Amir Khan playing the character of Ice Candy Man. The narrative builds up to the climax where Lenny betrays her Aya. This is where the novel turns into a traumatic tale of a single Hindu woman being abducted in full public view by the opposing community and the entire Parsi household portrayed as a helpless victim of the riots. The novel provides a closure of sorts by letting the readers find Aya's whereabouts, but this is its weakest link. You can see in the slide two pictures. One is of Lenny with her Aya, and the other is of again of Lenny, who is the 8-year-old Parsi narrative voice in the novel. This is why the film adaptation of The Ice Candy Man is more successful than the novel. The film, titled Earth 1947 by Deepa Mehta, does a lot to shorten the narrative and make it more appropriate for a feature film. Deepa Mehta concentrates on the central narrative of Lenny, removes several extraneous characters to make the film more compact and precise. According to John Dean in an essay titled Adapting History and Literature into Movies, a movie gets to places literature and history do not. And then it delivers that place to its audience in a way that literature and history cannot. With literature and history, the audience sees with their inner eye, not as much with their outer physical eye. The next novel that I'm analyzing here is written by the Punjabi writer Amrita Pritam. The novel is called Pinjar, which literally means the skeleton. You can see in the slide the cover of the novel Pinjar, and Amrita Pritam was a renowned Punjabi author. In her most prominent novel, Amrita Pritam narrates the gendered experience of trauma and the sufferings of partition. The novel is about the journey of the young Puro on the verge of her marriage and then her abduction by Rashid, a Muslim, due to an existing family feud which has lasted for generations. This was a pattern religiously followed by the two communities to avenge on each other during partition. The rape and violation of the women of one community by the other was seen as destroying the honor of their men. As Ritu Menon points out in her book Borders and Boundaries, the material, symbolic, and political significance of abduction of women was simultaneously an assertion of identity and humiliation of the rival community through the appropriation of its women. You can see in the slide the actress Urmila Matondkar playing the role of Puro in the film Pinjar. Puro is portrayed differently in the novel for her courage, her acceptance, and yet her becoming a savior of all the other oppressed women around her. Puro shows courage in the face of adversity by sustaining these oppressed, tortured women and showing them a path which will redeem them. The women Taro, Kammo, and Lajo represent the victimization of women during turbulent times and their bodies, which become the sites of violence and trauma. It is Puro who is determined to save these women. The novel's ending and resolution is related to another important aspect of partition history. After the partition, the Indian government started a rescue and recovery operation, which included locating the Hindu women who were abducted and forcibly taken to Pakistan and the Muslim women who had come from Pakistan after having been abducted by Hindu. Now, this recovery operation continued for the next 9 years, where the state actually played the role of patriarchy. The women's decisions were never asked.
Ma'am, you have 3 minutes to conclude, please.
Yes, I'm about to complete, sir. Ramchand, with whom Puro's marriage has been fixed, is an idealized figure of an educated Hindu who's translating the Ramayana, the Indian epic, into Urdu. And so what we see here basically is that Ramchand and Puro are picturized as Ram and Sita. Now, this is indicative of director Chandra Prakash Dwivedi's ideological stance quite clearly. The subtext of the film is influenced by the right-wing political ideology of the director. And this is a unilateral way of looking at a secular text. It does not help the film at all. The film's narrative is that of dehumanizing Muslims only. And that is also a clear demarcation from the novel that Amrita Pritam wrote. Pritam's humanistic and secular vision is absent from the film. And I'm concluding now. What is significant to understand is that the fiction of partition gives us an insight into the pain, suffering, dislocation, and the patriarchal oppression of women. And that is precisely why we call them the worst victims of partition. The historical evidence in official records does not come close to the injustice suffered by women. What the fiction writers and filmmakers have done is to bring out this trauma endured by women during this calamitous event and its aftermath. The resolution may not come immediately, but the closure may seem achievable with the passage of time. In this slide also, you can see the last scene of Earth 1947, where Aya is being taken by the Muslim marauders. The relationship between literature, history, and films is a dynamic one, leading us from one to the other. The truth lies in their alignment, and the way partition is represented through these different genres make us revisit this period in history and find more answers than ever before. Thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for your presentation. Does anyone have any question? Because this is a very debatable topic, especially in the literature point of view. So due to the time constraint, we won't go in a very debatable things. So I really appreciate your presentation and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Very much.
Thank you so much.
Very much. I wish we had a time so we can talk about more.
That's all right. I mean,
and because even you have just mentioned only 2 novels, and which I can assume there are many more.
Absolutely, there are many more. There are many more. Yes.
And there are many more, and there are many more movies.
Yes, also. Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I have just taken 2. Yes.
But I can really appreciate because you make it a conclusive way of the presentation.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you, sir.